Next one's not till 6 a.m., he said. But I already knew. Knew I was stranded, soaked, screwed. The job? Gone. Hope leaking out with the bus exhaust. He shouldn't have stopped. Rich guy in a heated SUV. What's he want with me? A cripple shivering at a bus stop. I saw the calculation in his eyes. Trouble. But something flickered there too. Something he tried to hide. Pity? Maybe. Here's the thing he didn't know. This wasn't about charity. This was about leverage. He thought he was offering a handout. He had no idea I held the keys to his kingdom. He doesn't know my wheelchair hides a razor-sharp mind, sharpened by loss, fueled by injustice. What he thinks is kindness is his undoing. Just you wait. At 37, Nathan had built Crawford Industries into a real estate empire that had made him wealthy beyond most people's dreams. But as he drove home to his 5-year-old daughter Sophia, he reflected that wealth had never filled the emptiness left by his wife's death 2 years ago. As Nathan's headlights swept across a bus stop shelter, something made him slow down. Huddled in a wheelchair at the empty stop was a young woman, maybe in her late 20s, soaking wet from the snow and shivering violently. She appeared to be crying, her dark hair plastered to her face as she struggled with something in her lap. Nathan's first instinct was to keep driving. Getting involved in strangers' problems was complicated, and he had his own daughter waiting at home with the nanny. But something about the scene wouldn't let him continue. Perhaps it was remembering how vulnerable his wife had been during her illness. Or perhaps it was simply recognizing another human being in genuine distress. He pulled over and grabbed the emergency blanket from his trunk before approaching the bus stop. "Excuse me," Nathan said gently, trying not to startle her. "Are you all right? You're going to get hypothermia out here." The young woman looked up, and Nathan could see both fear and desperation in her eyes. Her gray coat was soaked through, and she was trembling so violently she could barely hold the brown paper bag in her lap. "I'm waiting for the bus," she said through chattering teeth. "It should be here soon." Nathan checked the bus schedule posted at the stop and felt his heart sink. The last bus on this route left 20 minutes ago. The next one isn't until 6 tomorrow morning. The woman's face crumpled as she realized she had no way to get home. "I must have read the schedule wrong. I had a job interview downtown, and I thought I had enough time." "Come with me," Nathan said, the words leaving his mouth before he fully thought through the implications. "I can't leave you here to freeze. Let me take you wherever you need to go." The woman looked at him with understandable suspicion. A wealthy stranger offering help to a vulnerable woman in a wheelchair could have any number of motivations, not all of them good. "I know this seems strange," Nathan continued, "and you have every reason to be cautious, but I have a 5-year-old daughter waiting for me at home, and I would hope that if she were ever in trouble, someone would help her too. Please at least come warm up in my car while we figure out what to do." Something in his voice must have convinced her because she nodded slowly. "My name is Rachel Morrison, and thank you for stopping." As Nathan helped Rachel into his vehicle and loaded her wheelchair, he learned more about her situation. Rachel had been paralyzed from the waist down in a car accident 3 years ago, the same accident that had killed her husband. She had been living with her elderly aunt and trying to rebuild her life while managing chronic pain and limited mobility. The job interview was for an administrative position, Rachel explained as warmth slowly returned to her body. "I'm a certified accountant, but most companies don't want to deal with accessibility accommodations. This company seemed different, so I was hopeful." "How did the interview go?" Nathan asked. Rachel's expression darkened. "They said my qualifications were excellent, but then they mentioned their office was on the 3rd floor of a building without an elevator. They suggested I might be happier finding something more suitable to my situation." Nathan felt anger rise in his chest at the obvious discrimination, but he kept his voice calm. "Where do you live? Let me take you home." Rachel gave him an address that Nathan recognized as being in one of the city's less safe neighborhoods. As they drove, she explained that she was behind on rent and facing possible eviction if she couldn't find work soon. Her disability payments barely covered her medical expenses, and her aunt's retirement income couldn't support both of them much longer. When they arrived at Rachel's building, Nathan was dismayed to see that it had no wheelchair ramp and appeared to be in serious disrepair. Rachel noticed his expression. "It's not much, but it's what I can afford," she said quietly. "My aunt lives on the first floor, so at least I don't have to deal with stairs." Nathan made a decision that would change multiple lives. "Rachel, I have a proposition for you. Crawford Industries needs a new financial controller. Our current person is retiring, and we need someone with strong accounting skills who can also help modernize our financial systems. Would you be interested in interviewing?" Rachel stared at him in disbelief. "Mr. Crawford, you don't have to offer me charity just because you found me at a bus stop." "This isn't charity," Nathan said firmly. "I saw your resume while you were warming up. It fell out of your bag. Your credentials are impressive, and honestly, I think you'd be perfect for the position. Our offices are fully accessible, the salary is competitive, and we offer excellent health benefits." Rachel's eyes filled with tears. "Why would you do this for a complete stranger?" Nathan was quiet for a moment, thinking about his own losses and struggles. "Because 2 years ago, my wife died of cancer. During her illness, I learned what it meant to be vulnerable and dependent on others' kindness. I also learned that the most meaningful thing we can do with our resources is help other people rebuild their lives." 3 weeks later, Rachel started work at Crawford Industries. Nathan had been right about her skills. She was exceptional at her job, bringing both technical expertise and creative problem-solving to the company's financial operations. But more than her professional contributions, Rachel brought something Nathan and Sophia desperately needed: warmth, laughter, and genuine connection. She became a regular presence at their home, initially for work discussions, but gradually evolving into family dinners and weekend activities. Sophia was fascinated by Rachel's wheelchair and asked endless questions about how it worked and why Rachel needed it. Rather than being uncomfortable with a child's curiosity, Rachel answered every question patiently and honestly, teaching Sophia about disability, resilience, and the many different ways people navigate the world. "Miss Rachel, does your wheelchair make you sad?" Sophia asked one evening while they were decorating cookies together. Rachel considered the question seriously. "Sometimes it makes me frustrated because there are things I wish I could do that are harder now. But the wheelchair itself isn't what makes me sad. What makes me sad is when people only see my wheelchair instead of seeing me." Sophia nodded with the profound understanding that children sometimes possess. "Daddy sees you. I can tell because he smiles different when you're here." Nathan, who had been listening from the doorway, felt his chest tighten with emotion. His daughter was right. Rachel had awakened something in him that he thought had died with his wife: the ability to imagine a future that included joy rather than just duty. 6 months after finding Rachel at that bus stop, Nathan asked her to dinner at the same restaurant where they had shared their first meal after her initial day at work. "Rachel, I need to tell you something," Nathan began, his usual confidence faltering slightly. "When I stopped to help you that night, I thought I was just doing a decent thing for someone in trouble. I had no idea that you would become so central to my life and Sophia's." Rachel reached across the table and took his hand. "Nathan, you gave me back my life when I was at my lowest point. But more than that, you saw me as a whole person rather than just someone to be pied." "I love you," Nathan said simply. "Not because I rescued you or because you're grateful for the job. I love you because you're brilliant, kind, funny, and you've helped heal my broken heart. You've shown Sophia what real strength looks like, and you've reminded me that moving forward doesn't mean forgetting what we've lost." Rachel smiled, tears streaming down her face. "I love you too, but I need you to understand something important. I will always be in this wheelchair. There won't be a miracle cure or a happy ending where I suddenly walk again. My disability is part of who I am, and it comes with challenges that will affect our life together." "I know," Nathan replied, "and I'm not asking you to change anything about who you are. I'm asking if you'll build a life with us, challenges and all, because you make our family complete." 2 years later, the Crawford family had grown and evolved in ways none of them could have predicted. Rachel's aunt had moved into their accessible home, and the house was filled with the kind of warmth that comes from people who have chosen to love each other through difficulty rather than despite it. Rachel had revolutionized Crawford Industries' approach to inclusive hiring, making the company a model for disability employment that had earned national recognition. More importantly, she had shown Nathan and Sophia that the most valuable thing we can offer others isn't money or professional opportunities, but the dignity of being seen, valued, and included. On snowy evenings, Nathan would sometimes drive past that bus stop where he had found Rachel, and he would think about how close he had come to driving past that night. The decision to stop had seemed like a small act of kindness in the moment, but it had fundamentally altered the trajectory of multiple lives. The girl crying in the snow had become the center of their family, and the millionaire who stopped to help had discovered that the greatest wealth comes not from what we accumulate, but from who we choose to love and how we choose to treat others when they are most vulnerable. Thank you for listening to this story about the power of compassion to transform lives and the courage it takes to help someone when they need it most. If this tale reminded you that small acts of kindness can have profound consequences, please like this video, share it with someone who believes in helping others without expecting anything in return, and subscribe for more stories celebrating the humanity that connects us all. We'd love to hear in the comments about times when a stranger's kindness changed your life, or when you chose to help someone despite the inconvenience. Remember, we never know how our decision to stop and help might change not just someone else's life, but our own as well.